so thankful for you taking the time to come on and be on this show. I wanted to introduce to you guys Sunne's Gift.
Yes.
Sunne's Gift, which Ama Yawson wrote, and I'm just so excited. I purchased this book off of Amazon, and just really I read through it, and yes, it's designed to be a children's book, but honestly, as an adult, I really took so much from it, and I wanted to kind of dive in, hear from you, Ama, hear your story, what inspired you, and really, the impact that you're seeing that this book is making.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I always tell people that we all, as human beings, experience whispers from gods, whispers from the universe, telling us what we should do. But very often we don't listen because we have the yelling of the world, right? So the whispers from the universe are very low and very subtle. But we often have the yelling and the shouting and the dominant dialogue of the world. So I would say that in many respects, I followed the general dialogue of the world, particularly as it relates to my family. So I was raised in an African household. Both of my parents are from Ghana, and my father very much asked me to pursue the traditional route. Like if I had been a child and said, I want to be an author, he would have had a heart attack. He would have been like, have you lost your mind? He was very much about being very practical. He used to say, it doesn't matter if you make the best lemonade. If everyone is into Coca-Cola, you should be producing Coca-Cola. Because even if it's the worst Coca-Cola, it will sell more. That was the dominant dialogue. And so I followed a very traditional path. And, I got a scholarship to go to boarding school, went to Harvard undergrad, did investment banking. After investment banking, went to both law school and business school and was working as a corporate lawyer. Now, all throughout, I would say, after law school particularly, I believe that I was getting whispers that I should write. And especially when I got pregnant with my first child, I remember buying all these Berenstain Bears books and saying, I should study children's book and I should write children's book. But again, I don't think I really could have verbalized this. These were whispers from the universe. Just like, I get loads of whispers. Ama, you should build schools. Ama, you should do this. Ama, you should do that. So these were just whispers.
Yes.
And so the incident that caused the whisper to become an impetus or trigger for real action was an experience which was a long time ago. Now my son is turning 9 next week, but he was 3 at the time. This is my big son. I have 2 sons. One is turning 9 next week and one is 6. And basically I took the then 3-year-old, who's now 9, to the barber shop and told the barber not to shave off all of his hair. So barbers had loved to just do what they call a low Caesar or a light Caesar. It's when you shave. You know what I'm talking about? Like I was unfamiliar with men's haircuts, but when I had boys and my husband didn't feel like going to the barbershop, I would be the one doing this. So I would learn about this. I would just look at men. Maybe I knew what a fade was, but I didn't really know men's haircuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, they did this low Caesar, and I said, leave it a little higher. I want him to have some style. So I say this to the barber, who was a Black man, who was of Jamaican heritage. This was in a West Indian community that I was in. And the barber proceeded to shave off all the hair from the middle and made it so low. When I said, hey, what are you doing? Ooh. His response was, let me tell you this, or how can I tell you this? You have a real nigger right here. Beep, beep. He's from the tribe. He's a native boy. This is not pretty hair. This is the best cut for him.
Wow, that is bold.
I don't think he thought it was bold. That's the shocking part.
For someone that that's a stranger to your child. Maybe not a stranger, but it
was the first time he had ever been at that barbershop. So he wasn't
feel comfortable saying that to you and in front of your child.
Absolutely.
That definitely, wow. I've had my own experiences, but more so as an adult, with going natural and people looking at
people's
me.
Responses.
Like, oh, are you getting a relaxer? We don't do that hair here. And it's like, okay. But as a child, like hearing that strong language about you, about your identity, that has an impact.
Absolutely. Whether it's known or not. So at the time he was 3 and I don't think he understood what was going on. He was just feeling antsy about his haircut. But it had an impact on me because I recognized the general culture he had to come from in order to feel that. Meaning All of us have cultural worldviews. All of us have mindsets. It was clear from his statement that his mindset was this: there's good here and there's bad here. There's pretty here and there's not so pretty here. And if you are a real N word, if you are a real Black person, meaning a Black person who does not have any mixed ancestry, and I am a Black person who has no mixed ancestry. Both of my parents are directly from Ghana. I haven't taken an ancestry test, but I don't need an ancestry to tell me that I'm like 100% Ghanaian, basically. All four of my grandparents are Ghanaian. We are Black people. There's no Cherokee ancestry that I'm calling out to. There's no Indian, no nothing. We are Black people. We are African. And so he was stating from his vantage point that your son is a real African. His hair is very kinky. And he's saying, is a matter of factly, this is bad here. Let's shave it all off. And so he's saying, in case you had any delusions, woman, about who you were or who your child is, I'm here to tell you that you are pure-blooded African in phenotype, and this here is not nice here. And at the time, I was really taken aback by it, and I couldn't even process it. I think I gave a nervous giggle. And then there was no saving the haircut because he had shaved it from here. Mm-hmm. And so they proceeded. After that. What can you do?
Yeah.
So he proceeded to, we proceeded to have this light Caesar. I even gave him a tip. And then, but this is all in my mind though, I'm thinking about this issue of Black self-concept. And additionally, at that same barbershop, there were women in the back doing hair, and there was a woman who was very clearly bleached. Her face was very pale, but you could tell that it was from skin bleaching. Yeah. And so this added to this atmosphere of self-hatred and lack of understanding, acceptance, and celebration and honor of the African phenotype. And this is something that I was very familiar with in my own spirit, in my own life, because I mean, I had a perm in preschool. My preschool graduation, I had relaxed hair.
Preschool, wow.
My preschool graduation from a happy child was the first time I had a perm. So my hair is straight in my preschool graduation photos. And I struggled with hair and my hair falling out a lot from chemical treatments and just sometimes the painful braiding. I had struggled a lot with this idea of what grew out of my hair was not, out of my head was unworthy, and my skin tone being unworthy. And so to see that this dominant culture existed, as reflected in the bleaching at the back of salon and in the stated words of the barber, it really made me feel very, very sad. And I thought, what can I do about this? And I was reading a book that said that art is no different from, I was reading a book that said if you ever want to teach a lesson, you should teach a lesson through a book or through a story. So I was like, how am I going to write a story? At the time I was working as a corporate lawyer, and I didn't see myself as a creative type at all. There had been nothing in my background that had shown any sort of artistic creativity in the field of writing. I had done a lot of critical writing, and I'd been published in the MSNBC's Brio, The Root, the Huffington Post. I think I had a column in the Huffington Post at the time, but this was all analytical work. I never done creative writing.
The whole different side of the brain you're using.
Exactly.
So you had to,
exactly.
Like, you're knocking at the door. It's like, okay, what does this place even look like in my head?
I didn't know whether it even really existed, because I mean, I literally lawyer, banker, like nothing was creative. Nothing was creative. I mean, I danced. I guess that would have been my outlet in childhood. I did drama, but again, not from scratch, right? I was never engaging in creation. Like I would go to dance class, they would teach me a dance. I go to drama school or whatever, and they say, this is your monologue, memorize it, but not from scratch in the way it would to be able to create this and a whole nother world or universe that is created from this. So yes, you have the book as well. So the thing that liberated my viewpoint was that I was watching Super Soul Sunday on OWN. And if anyone knows Oprah, I'd love to be on Super Soul Sunday. So please, I'd love to be on Oprah's network to say this. And Marianne Williamson was being interviewed by Oprah, and she said, all of us are artists. She said, art is no different from prayer, because art is just God speaking through us. And she said that Michelangelo did not create the statue David. God created David. And Michelangelo was just a vehicle for wiping off the excess stone. And so her statement really liberated something inside me, because it allowed me to recognize that I wasn't relying on my own background as a lawyer. This is not, a contract I'm reading. This is not a bond that I'm analyzing. This
Yeah.
is a spiritual endeavor. And so I prayed on a story, and that's how the story of Sunne's gift was delivered to me.
Wow. Wow. And honestly, like reading it, I was looking at it, and I would say I'm more so of a spiritual than religious person. And I
Hmm.
was looking at it and I was like, ooh, this looks like my vibe. Because it's like, even like flipping through it before I even got into it, you're talking about more, you're pulling the story from nature itself.
Absolutely.
You're tying everything together as a whole, whereas today's culture sees everything as isolated, as separate, and
That's
it's
true.
a way of living apart from nature, where nature is all around us, and the more we try to pull and remove ourselves from it, the more destruction we create. And I think
Absolutely.
your book really embodies that too, in a way that is really palatable for children.
Absolutely. And that is definitely the goal. I see it as an environmental story as well. Absolutely.
Wow. So, I've been keeping up on what you're doing with the book, bringing it to schools, really educating around what bullying can look like, and in
Absolutely.
this just very beautiful tale. Uh, what what are you seeing? What are you seeing? Children saying. What do you really see coming from this really piece of artwork that you created?
Thank you. Well, it's a beautiful experience. I mean, not that the road has been easy the past 3.5 years or more. I guess, yeah, oh goodness, it'll be 4 years soon. So I basically did a Kickstarter to write this book for 25 days. I raised money. I printed the first hardcover version of it, which I have. I see you have the soft cover. I started promoting it. And then I was like, wow, this story is beginning to convict me, because I started speaking on the story just in my spare time, which I didn't have any, but I made spare time because I
I
was a
agree
corporate
on
lawyer
that
at the
one. If
time.
you're trying to get something out, you're gonna find the time.
Find the time. And I was like, this story is about you being true to your gift. So for those of you who don't know the story, basically, there's a sun child, earth child, water child, and wind child. The sun child's the only one with kinky hair that grows toward the sun. The earth child, water child, and wind child start teasing the sun child. The sun child says, I'm going to look like them, takes a stick, starts beating the hair. When the last spiral of hair becomes straight, something bad happens. So you just read the rest and you'll know. But basically, one of the morals of the story is you have to be true to your gift and accept yourself. And I thought to myself, is what I'm doing here, writing bond disclosure, my true gift?
Mm.
And I began to feel convicted. I felt like the universe started again, not whispering, but speaking in a loud tone. It's time for you to follow your dream. It's time for you to do this. It's time for you to pursue this, because the books don't sell themselves. Like personally haven't experienced this, but they say build it and the people will come. That's not my experience. My experience is I have to go to people and say, hey, this is the book, you want to buy the book. That's my my personal experience.
It's like I gotta build it, then I gotta advertise it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
then
Build
the people
it
might
and
come.
advertise it.
You know.
Yes, exactly. And so then I became, I quit my job and I started pursuing getting the book into schools. And it has been a miracle. It's been a miracle in that I became a vendor to the Department of Education. And so I've been to, I'm sure maybe 50, 60, 70 DOE schools in New York alone. I'm also with Nassau BOCES, Eastern Suffolk BOCES,
Wow.
Putnam, Westchester BOCES, and every time I go and perform the book. So when I was a child in fourth grade, I started entering storytelling competitions where I would memorize books and perform them. So I memorize this book and perform it at schools. And after I perform it with drumming, and it's a phenomenal experience for them, because many of them have never experienced storytelling. Like they know what a singer does, they know what a dancer does, but they've never seen someone memorize a story and perform it. One quick funny story about that is one time I went to a school in, what school was it? I believe it's a Glen Elk school in Maryland. And a parent came to me because we had a signing for the book afterwards. And the parent said, my daughter told me a great singer and dancer came to her school today. And I told her, I asked her, really? Why would they have a singer and dancer for the book fair? And then she saw my performance where I tell the story and sing and dance. And she's like, now I get it.
That is so adorable. But you know what? You're right in that a lot of these children don't know what storytelling and really
No.
interactive learning looks like. A lot of our kids, especially in the public systems, are kind of like told
Yes.
fed these stories rather than it being something they're included in, being something that, is an experience for them.
Absolutely.
It really is
Absolutely.
an experience and something that, as teachers and as, psychologists and learners know, you need an experience to really grasp and hold on
Retain
to
it.
something. So people can
Absolutely.
remember, that little girl's gonna remember, oh, that lady that came and she talked about Earth Day and Wednesday,
Yes, yes, yes.
and that's a beautiful thing. So you found a way not just to put out your book, because you can put out a book, but you turned it also into an experience.
It's absolutely an experience. And so after each session, I ask them questions. And I mean, it's just amazing to me. Like the comments I hear from the children every session, just amazing. Like I remember one girl in the Bronx, I'm trying to remember the name of her school, but it's in the Bronx. It's one of my favorite clients. She said, this book teaches us that the world tries to tell us we need to buy this and that to be beautiful. We're beautiful already. Right?
Oh,
This is like a third grader who said this. Another girl, Layla, she was only in kindergarten at the time. She was at Westbury Friends School. She said, the moral of the story is something bad happens when you don't want to be yourself. Right? Like, I mean, over and over again, the moral of the story is all of us are special and we shouldn't be jealous of anyone else because we have our own powers. Like over and over and over again, I hear them, and it's so interesting. Sometimes I do it for preschoolers. And so these children are only like 4 years old. And if I were to ask them from a critical thinking standpoint, why is that the lesson? They wouldn't be able to tell me. They don't know how to come up with evidence, but they just experience a story and tell me the lesson is I have to love me. The lesson is I have to be nice to my friends and say nice things, and I can't say mean things. The lesson is I'm powerful. They are able to take the lesson without cognitively being able to even explain how they came to that conclusion. So it's been a remarkable experience each and every time when the students get up and they say their lessons, and also in spreading African culture, because I sing like Fungalafia during the performance. Niami is the Twi word or the Akan word for God, even though this is not a religious book, but just to put those elements in it. I say Ago Ame, which is a call and response among the Akan. And so for many of them, they've never been exposed to anything that is African centered. And so for them to experience the beat of the djembe drum, for them to listen to the story, for them to get this remarkable message, it's just a very powerful, powerful experience. And then also they meet the author. So sometimes I say to them, oh, what is the moral of the story, right? And they tell me, I say, what does the moral mean? And they'll say, the lesson the author is trying to teach. And I said, and I'm the perfect one to let you know because I'm the author. And they're like, ah! Right? Because every day they are reading books and they don't feel connected to it. So the fact that they actually physically know, met, hugged, danced with, sang with the person who wrote the story, and I give them my phone number, I say, you have a question, call me up, right? I can't compete with Scholastic. I'm not going to have the breadth of schools that they have. I'm not going to have a whole army, whole corporate headquarters, buildings everywhere. But I say, this is how I can compete. All those books that you're reading from famous authors, you don't know those people. Moreover, you don't have access to them. This is my phone number. If you have a question, you can call me about the book, about how I came up. I tell them the process. I tell them about the Kickstarter. And so they all really, really enjoy it because for many of them, the vast majority of them, it's the first time they've ever known the person who wrote a book that's in their school library.
And really, for everyone who's watching right now who hasn't experienced your book yet, what do you hope that people take from the book? What do you hope that those that are looking to purchase your book are really should be, or you're hoping that they take from it?
I hope that they take from it multiple lessons. Of course, there are the general morals that they should get from the story about, one, self-love and self-acceptance at all costs, and recognizing that we are killing ourselves. There's an Oscar Wilde quote that says, just be yourself because everyone else is taken.
Yes.
And I hope that they get that and they say, I have to really be true to who I am and recognize that I am gifted and that the creator made no mistakes when creating me. I hope that they also get the themes of making sure that we not only respect and love our own powers, but we respect and love the powers of others. I hope that they're also getting this idea that being good to ourselves and being good to the environment all go hand in hand with one another.
Yes, and quickly as we close out, where can they find you and where can they buy the book?
Amazon.com, you put in Sunne's gift, it will come up. It's available as a hardcover, it's available as a soft cover. There's also a coloring book that is bilingual, that's in English and Spanish. In Spanish, the title of the book is El Don de Sunne, and it's Libro de Actividades. So it's a book of activities where they can answer the curriculum questions both in English and Spanish. Additionally, the sequel is coming up, Earth Day's Gift. It's already available on Kindle, so you can read the Kindle sequel, and the hardcover and softcover versions are out shortly. In terms of me, the name of my publishing company is Miles Tales, www.milestales.com. So the word Miles and Tales put together, www.milestales.com. You can email me, Ama, AMA, at milestales.com. You can call me, 347-886-2026, 347-886-2026. All of my info is readily available, and I'm ready to connect. I'm ready to do programs at your school. As I said, I'm a vendor to many school districts, and I'm ready to just create community with you, because we're all in this, I'm not going to call it a struggle, because I don't believe in struggle. I believe in ease, and we're calling ease into being. But we're all on this journey toward manifesting a better world together.
Yes. So thank you so much, Ama, for joining me and just really sharing your love for your book, your upcoming book. Everyone, please, if you have not bought your copy yet, purchase Sunne's Gift. It is a beautiful story, not just for children, but for adults. If you don't have children yet and want children,
keep it for them early. Keep it for them, yeah.
Yes, and I just want to say again, thank you so much.